Hello, my name is John Reynolds. Welcome to Extraordinary Life Stories. On this episode, I'm talking with Kelsey Parker. Kelsey is an inspiring businesswoman and TV personality from Kelsey Parker, Life After Tom, where she shared the heart-wrenching story of losing her beloved husband, Tom Parker of The Wanted, to a battle with brain cancer in 2022. Kelsey has become a beacon of hope for many with her resilience and vulnerability over her grief, and raising awareness for brain cancer research and sharing her experiences of love, loss, and life as a widow and mother. I'm really looking forward to talking with Kelsey, so let's get into it. Kelsey, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me, who is Kelsey Parker?
I'm Kelsey Parker. I was married to Tom Parker and I'm now a widow. That is who I am. It's not who I am, but...
No, but it's what came out when I asked you the question. There's so much more. I want to go back to a young Kelsey. Who and what were the kind of early career and life influences?
Do you know, so I have always been into performing arts. I think as a young child, well, my teacher actually flagged to my mum. He was like, you need to get this child into some sort of performing, because I was like such a character. And actually, my daughter is a mini version of me now.
Were you getting into trouble for that? If you know what I mean? Or were you channeling it in all the right ways? Or was it like super hyper energy that was sort of like...
I was just really over the top and just loved everyone looking at me. And
can't get into trouble for that.
No, born to perform. No, but some teachers don't like that, do they? I was either I'm like Marmite, you either love me or you hate me. And I had that through life.
You got super positive energy, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's like I've never actually told anyone this before, but when I was about 8 years old, I was sent into the corner in the classroom because I was talking too much. And every time the teacher turned around from the whiteboard, it was like, Reynolds, da, da, da. So I was put in the corner. And then my mum, when she collected me, was told by the teacher that I'd still been talking to myself in the corner. I had so much energy. I mean, I've long forgotten this, but I'm just saying, I got into trouble for just trying to let it all out, chat, and always being positive.
Yeah, I've literally always been like that though, the same, like so chatty. So I actually trained at Italia Conti, and it was the best decision my mum ever made. At 11, she put me into performing arts school, and
so she recognised it, or were you asking?
I think if I'd gone to a normal secondary school, I would have been expelled, because again, I couldn't sit still, I couldn't shut up when the time was like they embraced it at Conti. If you were larger than life, obviously they want people like that in their school. That's what we're all there to perform.
Yeah, and who and what was influencing you? So like all that energy, all that positivity, all that kind of almost dramatics. Were you aspiring to be an actress, a singer, like everything?
Yeah, actress. But I guess it's so cliche, but just being me. I think I've always been good at just being me. And then that's like Instagram, obviously that's my name, being me. And yeah, I've just always been myself, and I'm really like unapologetically me all the time. Like some people,
shouldn't
like
be apologise for that.
saying,
Yeah, but that's authenticity, right?
Yeah.
In a world, particularly like, let's talk about social media, right? That you've got the most amazing community, and from the time I've been following you and obviously reading and researching, if you like, before today, there's so many people that just love you, and it comes down to authenticity, right? Because there's so many people that don't seem to be in that, especially in that sort of performing, acting, singing, kind of, not trying to label that, but there's a lot of people perhaps not being themselves, whereas you're just unapologetically raw, authentic, and you've just never changed, right? No,
and I think that's maybe the reason Tom fell in love with me. And I just think for people that follow me, they just get the real me. And it's, sometimes I am glamorous and I'm going to events and I look absolutely lovely. Other times I've got no makeup on and I'm telling everyone how I'm struggling with life.
Yeah. But then, I mean, there's no question that's why Tom fell in love with you, right? And I think there's the One Direction song, You Don't Know You're Beautiful. Yeah. And from a guy's point of view, the girl that walks into the room and she's like, he's looking at me, looking at me. It's so unattractive.
Yeah.
Probably the other way around from a girl to a guy's point of view. Whereas it feels like you're just, you'll be in full conversation as you walk into a room with other people, and then everyone kind of gets noticed by you. Yeah. In terms of your identity, it's really evident, even in the short time we've been talking, that you bring Tom up a lot.
Yeah.
How did you meet him?
So I met Tom in a nightclub when I was 19.
So really young, right?
Really, really young. And I don't think some people know that about us, that we met so young and so early on in our lives. And, I spent 13 years with Tom and we grew together from like 19 teens into my 20s to then.
Did you know who he was when you met him?
No, he said to me, oh, we got talking and he said to me, oh, I'm in a band. And I was like, what's your band called? And he said, we've not got a name yet.
So it was really at the beginning of his journey as well. My bad. Yeah. That's nice. So you went through the whole journey of that with him together. And as Kelsey, the aspirational kind of actress and so on, what was it like going through that whole trajectory of what became serious fame for Tom? Yeah. Because you're living it through someone that, dare I say, there's probably quite a lot of negatives there as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we first got together, it was like, I couldn't be his girlfriend. It was like management said you can't be seen to have a girlfriend. And obviously, I think Tom was fed a lot of lines from people to like not commit to me, but ultimately Tom absolutely loved me. So we were actually together for a year and then I broke up with him and I just said, I can't do this. I'm not going to be on the back burner. I actually want to be with you. And if you can't commit to me, then that's fine. And at this time, the Wanted were massive. They were everywhere. They just had a #1 single. And I walked away from it all and just said, I just can't do it and I don't want to be with you. And we actually broke up for 6 months.
Do you know what's really sad about that? It was nothing to do with Tom.
No.
Which is probably what got you together, right? Because actually, I guess from your point of view, you were probably finding there was all sorts of probably orchestrated management to try and separate you, probably things in his ear, your ear. What brought you back together?
I think that we just had this bond like no other, and I really do believe in soulmates. And actually, when I first met Tom, I was outside of the nightclub that we met in, and I saw him walk past, and I turned around to my best friend, and I grabbed her, and I went, I'm in love with him. She went, what are you talking about? I went, I don't know, but I love him. Like, I honestly love at first sight, and I didn't believe in anything like that.
Until it happened.
Until it happened, and I was like, oh my God. And then when we went down into the club, we were on 2 tables next to each other and then got talking. I mean, it was a big nightclub. We could have been placed anywhere, but we were next to each other and just drawn to each other.
And to be with someone who then went through that acceleration of fame and so on, did your dynamics of relationship change? Was there ever a sort of scenario where you were like, don't let it go to your head, or did you really manage that well?
I think because me and Tom were ultimately best friends, I grounded him loads.
That's what I wondered. I thought you said, because that's you, right? That comes back to your authenticity.
I was like, oh, who do you actually think, like, say if he got above his station, I'm like, who do you actually think you are? Like, you're Tom from Bolton, mate. Calm yourself down.
Remember when I met you?
Yeah.
And you're the one that could do that for him, right?
And I think because we met before it all, he knew that I was there for the right reasons. Yeah. And I think with that, like with the break, obviously he was probably doing lovely things with other women and whatever else, but I think he always knew that I was always there for him, and I was before he was anything really. Yeah,
and of course, my God, you were there for him when ultimately he got his diagnosis, which must have shaken your world something crazy, right? And a huge part of, again, your kind of identity is the grief that you've gone through. That talk me through when you first found out and how you both talked about that.
Well, obviously it was the biggest shock, but Tom did know. Tom knew something was wrong with him, and he kept taking himself to the hospital going like, hello, there's something wrong with me, can you check me out? Like,
and he was coming back with no issues, or?
Well, I think, NHS, the wheels turn slowly, don't they? So actually, by the time he was diagnosed, we'd had the results back from this first MRI that he ever had, which were completely different results. It was just living in a place where you never thought you'd ever be. Like if someone had said, oh yeah, when you're 31, this is going to happen to you. You're going to have a baby, you're going to have a 9-month-old baby, and then fall pregnant, and then at 35 weeks your husband's going to be diagnosed with brain tumour. You couldn't write it, could you?
And your hormones are already going to be raging and spinning at that point anyway, right?
But obviously it's made me the person I am, because if I can get through that, I can get through anything.
Yeah, and I think that's a massive part of your, again, identity was your resilience. Yeah. And also the fact that apart from literally right now, because of what we're talking about, off camera, coming in here, sitting down, you are super good company, super positive. And so I'm asking the question of the fact that you've come through, not undamaged, again, kind of battle scars, resilient, but you've still got that positivity. What coping mechanisms and what have you done to be that Kelsey that's even stronger and come through something like this?
I just think literally taking each day and just moving through. Like when Tom was diagnosed, it wasn't like, what do we do in a year's time? It was like, let's just take each day and let's just get through it. And I think that's, for Tom, I was by his side and got us through it together. Yeah,
like a proper force of nature, strength, right? Which actually must have been exhausting because you'd have been managing your own emotions, again, hormones, probably thinking about the whole kids aren't going to have their dad and so on, but actually being super positive for Tom, right? Yeah. Because you've got that finite time, precious time. Is that how you remember it? Was it, because my experience of anyone I've spoken to that has sort of stared death in the face or potentially, may well have survived it, they live life like no one else I've ever met. Yeah. Every second, every minute is precious.
Do you know, for me though, we never visited the what if he dies? And that never crossed my mind until he literally went into a hospice. Even when he was going into hospice, I was like, oh, do you think that this could happen now? Like, it never, honestly, we never spoke about it.
Just consuming positivity, like you're just always looking at things are going to be all right.
We have got to move forward and we've got to get through this and we have to remain positive. Like, you're not dead yet, so let's just keep going, let's keep living. And I think for him, that's what he needed. Yeah. Because if I ever, when someone does pass, it's like, oh, have you got a will? Have you got that in place? It's like, no, we never spoke about that. It was like he was never going to die. That wasn't even an option. And then even when he went into the hospice, we still were so positive. I still went in and done everything that I would usually do for him, put crystals there, spray him with stuff. Like, it was not until the final stage that I said to him, you can go now, like, to help him take his journey onto the next place. But yeah, I was always there for him. I think even when he did die, I was there and solid for him.
Yeah, it's a constant.
Yeah.
A constant all the way through this is you prioritising your fitness. How much now, sitting here kind of almost knowing that was a constant all the way through your young years, right the way through to being really important in your today's world, do you think that correlation of staying positive and what ultimately must have helped your mental capacity and health, how important has that kind of physical fitness been?
I think because I always have been like a physically fit person and done like the dancing and everything.
Dancing in particular, right?
Yeah.
Because that's also an expression, or going to the gym and doing some weights or something is one thing, but dancing lets out emotion, right? Yeah, yeah.
And do you know what? My focus is like teaching kids and being there and being present for the kids that I teach at my performing arts school. I think that's always been, it's a passion of mine and has kept me going. Like even after Tom passed, we had a half-term camp. I think it was like an Easter camp, and it was like a few days afterwards, and I turned up and I was there and we were dancing, we were teaching the kids.
Yeah. And it must be lovely for you because you know how important that is for you. And you've got that lived experience of having gone through trauma, grief. Are you able to almost in some way let the kids know that it's not just about dancing? Are they learning that from a young age, that this is a bit of a superpower for you to be able to get through life? You're building a mental strength.
Yeah, I've always tried to teach the children at the Performing Arts School that, and like just the confidence in getting up on stage, and it doesn't matter what you're doing on the stage, just doing it, getting up there, being present, being positive. Yeah,
it's so important, right? And keeping that positive note, so that you've got podcasts, you've got your dancing, the fitness side, there's a real entrepreneurial side to you. Is that sort of almost flourishing now, that in the nicest way, from what was clearly an entwined relationship and identity with Tom, Kelsey's now working out what she's doing and kind of got through grief to then do the things that really you are passionate about?
Yeah. Do you know what's quite funny is Tom was always like the entrepreneur. He would have ideas in the shower and get up like, oh, I've got this idea. Like he was very entrepreneurial. Is that the right word? And he would, but what I noticed was he would come up with the ideas, but it was always me that had to do it with him. But I think when you're with someone for so long, you sort of think, oh, was it Tom? But I guess it's always been me. And I am a little bit of a Dell boy. Not Dell Boy. But I just think I'm from a family that everyone's self-employed, everyone works really, really hard, and I love creating businesses, ideas. Yeah, I think a coping mechanism for me is work.
I wondered that.
I went back to work literally within 3 weeks of Tom dying. Obviously, I went back to dance school a few days afterwards, and I went back to work straight away because ultimately I did need money. But work keeps me pushing forward,
right? As well. Discipline, and also a distraction.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to sit at home and start, I guess, not wallowing is the wrong word, but sort of really just overthinking and so on, that's not going to be good. So, I mean, because there's an overworking, there's a whole kind of to burnout. How have you managed that as a balance? Because I can imagine you really needed to be distracted. You really needed to, but at the same time, you could have gone too far with it. How have you managed that balance as well as being a mum, right?
I think that first year I was sort of having an out-of-body experience. So my memory's really bad. When people go, oh, do you remember when that happened? I'm like, no, I don't. I think I shut myself off, but I was just go. Come on, let's just keep.
Autopilot.
Yeah. And obviously, I think I need to protect myself because the stuff that I was actually talking about was deep, emotional, substance in my life every single day. So I had to protect myself. And I guess me having sort of an out-of-body, I definitely did have an out-of-body experience because now I feel so different, and it
makes you present though. But I mean, my God, there's probably some delayed trauma that I'm not qualified to probably understand it, and it's technical. But like what you went through, and the fact that, as you said, it was only until you really realised that Tom was going to die that you actually then kind of dealt with it.
Yeah.
The after kind of side of that was probably that whole out-of-body experience.
And I think the grief. I was grieving Tom, obviously, the day that he was diagnosed. I think Tom changed forever. And I think that's hard for people to understand. And I didn't really understand it because we were living it, and I was like, I've still got my Tom here though. But he wasn't the Tom before he was diagnosed. He changed forever.
And your life changed forever.
Yeah, our life changed forever. And, it changed drastically because we had kids. And I think that is a massive change in people's lives. But we did 2 kids. We had I've got a 15-month age gap between my 2. And then I've got a husband who's got a brain tumour as well.
Yeah. It's funny because in context of the young Kelsey that just wanted to let all this energy out and so on, you were actually able to pour incredible positive energy into what I describe as a community. You've got this massive social media following, and clearly so well loved because of that authenticity and raw side of things. And you could have shut that out. And Tom was ultimately a public figure. And by default, and then the way you guys grew into that, you are too. But you embraced that. Could have shut it out, embraced it. And now from everything I've seen and kind of you put out, you bring these people into your life. How do you deal with that when social media can be quite intrusive, right? So there's people that sort of feel like they almost know you from what you put out, and then it gets to, how do you sort of manage that barrier where you've got this community that love you, but you've also got to kind of keep everyone at arm's length?
I know that's such a hard question. I think as well, I wanted to share more of me and going through grief because it's such a taboo subject in the UK. No one talks about it. When Tom first died, people were crossing the road. They didn't want to talk to me. They don't know. We don't know what to say.
That's what it is. So it's not. You can't take that personally.
No.
But you can also recognise it's like I would actually like someone to talk to.
Yeah.
So is that almost one of the reasons why you brought that community in?
Well, yeah, because then I could talk to people online. Yeah. It's like, people actually reach out to me, and then I'll speak to
That's so important for people listening and watching. People that potentially you'd think, I don't know what to say. Oh my God, they're not going to want to say anything to me. Actually, it's the opposite.
And also, I just think the world we live in, you're judged for everything you do, but actually there's no right or wrong way to even grieve, to live your life. Like, you do you, and that's what I'm trying to say to people. Like, I am only being me, and this is the only person I can be, and you either like it or you don't, but this is how I'm dealing with grief as well. I was 32 when Tom died. That's like no age. So I can't be walking around with a black veil on my face and being like, life had to continue for me.
It's not your personality either.
No, it's not my personality.
Not about to suddenly change.
No.
And can I ask you something? If I had been someone as a random walking towards you fresh, what is it that I would say that would be what is it that someone could say to you in that moment that you want to hear?
I just think, hello, how you doing?
Normal.
Normal. Just be normal with me. It's people that I've known for a long time were crossing the street. And actually, I've lost friends on this journey that they are judgmental on how you should be living your life. Like, it is.
That's the negative of social media, and it's the judgment, it's the opinions, when actually it's your life, and I guess everyone's entitled to behaving their own way from a grief point of view. And in terms of that entrepreneurial, Kelsey the Dell Boy, what are you working on right now?
Oh, so I've got lots. I have got some book ideas, some children book ideas, because do you know what? That's what I thought was a massive part of this journey, is the books for the children. There's nothing out there, you know, there is a few books, but they really are deep. And my kids were younger, because I was really matter of fact with them. The advice I got was, you know, tell the kid straight, he has died and he's not coming back. And that's what I said. I didn't say he's gone to sleep. I didn't say daddy's gone away for a little while. Like I said to the kids, the angels are going to come and take daddy today, and I'm going to make sure that they take him and he's okay, but we're not going to see dad anymore. And then the day after he died, I said to them, daddy's dead, he's not coming back now. So it was matter of fact. But books out there, it's like, can I talk about the books? There's one called The Invisible String, but it's like you've always got this connection to that person. But obviously my kids are little, they don't understand what the book's trying to say.
No, I get it. This is and storytelling, right?
Yeah.
We learn so much from storytelling, and you know, so much of social media is creeping in now that's sort of almost replacing it. But you can never replace a good book and a good story, especially if there's a powerful message behind it. And your lived experience and the lack of what was available that's a purposeful, passionate project to be behind, right?
But also, people die every day. Like, children lose grandparents, cousins, uncles. You know, there's people die in children's lives, and it's just making it, easier for them.
Definitely, and you use that word sort of taboo, right? You know, it's like, I mean, something shouldn't be taboo. It's like the mental health thing. Like, mental health's been around forever. Yeah. But use that analogy of crossing the street sort of thing. People just don't want to talk about it. And I think that's changing.
We're rubbish as a nation. We're not good at talking.
Definitely the British, right? But I think that almost stems from the military and man up and so on, but it's not healthy. Which, fair play to you if you can kind of influence that for the better. And so much of these neuro patterns and behavioural patterns start in children.
Yeah, and I don't want to give my kids trauma. Like, they've been through something traumatic. They've lost a parent. It's how we process and we deal with that. And we talk about Tom. Like, I think when I put it out to, on my social media, we talk about Tom every day. Honestly, there's not a day goes by that we don't talk about. That keeps him
relevant and with you, right?
Yeah, because really with children, you could tell them absolutely anything and they would believe it. Like, I'm telling them the truth because I don't want that ever to come back to me to go, Mummy, you didn't tell me the truth about that. It's
I love that.
No, I did. Everything's truthful. And do you know what? My mum has got me through life, and she's always been truthful and honest. She will always get a truthful answer from my mum if you ask her anything. That is anything. She'll tell you the truth.
But that's a trait that's been passed on to you, right? That's awesome. I love that. And sitting here now, beginning of October 24, I know that it was a week or two ago you went public about having a new relationship. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I'm just in a really happy place. I've met someone.
You're glowing.
Yeah. I've met someone that understands what I have been through, what the kids are going through. He lost his dad at 21. So he understands what the kids are going through. And I'm just in a really good place.
I'm so pleased to hear that. And I think for someone that's just getting to know you, I'm saying that, whereas people that will have followed your journey, there's a huge amount of pleasure in that from, again, that sort of Kelsey identity that becomes another chapter of your life, right? But you've kept everything so relevant. But Kelsey, you can be as good a mum as you want, but you want to share your life with someone that goes beyond just talking about Tom, right? Yeah. So I love it. Are you getting all the positive feedback that you'd like? I mean, I guess it's one of those, it's irrelevant, right? Why would I even ask you that? But we live in this world, and you are a public figure with a huge community around you. Have you had, since you've gone public, the kind of support that you'd want?
Do you know what? My community is amazing online, and they've been so supportive, so loving. They're all behind me. Some news outlets, people have got different opinions. But again,
is that gaslighting though?
I don't know. But
I'm not in that world, and I don't want to be. But you imagine someone to get And hopefully you never see it if that happens. See it as just someone trying to start something that's not there. Surely it's happiness. You're exuding it now, and everyone around you would want that.
Yeah, everyone wants me to be happy. My kids want me to be happy. My family want me to be happy. Tom's family want me to be happy. And people always bring up like Tom's mum and dad. Like his mum said to me when Tom passed away, as long as you and the kids are happy, I will be behind you, Kelsey, for whatever you do. And
that's lovely.
Yeah, and we're really, really super close. But yeah, I'm in a really happy place. And also that's breaking the mould and the taboo because again, when's the wrong or right time to move on? And women get judged, women widows get judged so much more than a male. Like it's okay for men to move on. Like if they move on within a few months, it's like, that's okay because men need dinner on the table and they need a woman to fulfill their needs and
so
whatever
it's coming
else.
from an archaic,
but
stupid
women,
place.
It's like, I should not have moved on. Like how can I move on that quickly? And I did have a relationship 8 months after Tom passed away. But again, for me, I go with what Kelsey needs and what my heart needs and my head and whatever else. And at that moment in time, that relationship I needed for whatever reason that came.
And you're entitled to that as well, right? Yeah.
But I'm in a world where people can pass comment and pass judgment. But, I've had friends that have passed judgment on that. And I get a lot of women that message me and said like their husband passed away and they moved on within, 6 months, 8 months, a year. And family members have fallen out with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's them not moving on, isn't it? And I think this is where people pass their judgment on to, and they're not you. No. That's what it comes down to.
And do you know what mine was? That I always talk about the village. Like my village is so supportive and I would not have been able to get through or be here today without them. But there was only so much of the village that I could be like, can you come and sit with me every night because I'm really lonely? Like it's the loneliness. And like, as you said, I like to chat, I like to talk, I'm very...
That'd be the worst thing for you, right?
I was so lonely and there's only so much your friends and family can do. Like, they've all got their lives, they're getting on with their lives. And that's why I sometimes don't understand how some friends have fallen out because it's like, you're living your life, I can't lean on you and be like, can you come and sit with me and my kids? Yeah. Like, it's been me and my kids for so long.
What did you do in those lonely times? I mean, we talked about the social media side of things. Is that when you started reaching out? You actually proactively, but what got you through that?
Well, honestly, I would sit and work every night.
So it was work?
Because then I'm like flicking them, like, oh, what can I do? Oh, let's come up with an idea. Where like my brain just goes into overdrive. I am so bad at being on my own. But Tom knew that about me. Actually, Tom would have been better than me because he liked his own company. He could sit there all day and not be bothered that he's not spoken to anyone. Me, if I'm like 2 hours on my own, I'm like, right, who am I meeting? What can I do? Who can I talk to?
I love that. So you got to meet Danny Gray, founder of Jack, and we're filming in the Jack studio. Just Ask a Question. Social media mental health platform. And it's giving authentic answers from like the Avengers of healthcare, but also people from a lived experience point of view, which could be so relatable. What are your thoughts on Jack?
I think it's incredible, honestly amazing. And a place where you can go to get that real life answers. And this is what I found, that when Tom was diagnosed, you sit with the NHS and they tell you, you've got a brain tumour. We didn't get a prognosis, we didn't get anything like that. But what was the first thing I did? I went home and I researched positive stories and who can I reach out to and who can I talk to? Because I needed to talk to other people that were going through this or have lived this experience.
That's compelling. Yeah, because obviously mutual interest in Jack, but I've come in it from a point of view of just realising how much is lacking. And you've got that lived experience where you were crying out for help. Yeah. And then you punch that into Google and...
You get the NHS sends you home with a booklet and that is it. You're getting a booklet. And the booklet, I just literally wanted to set fire to it. But I think that's my personality.
Yeah, but it's also recognition that wasn't what you needed in your time of grief, need. No, it's powerful words, what you said. I would love to be able to talk to you for far longer, but we're out of time. But thank you so much for making time to talk to me, Kelsey.
Thank
I've
you.
loved it.
Thank you.
Thank you.